Camping lunches, hiking lunches, lots of lunches.
Just like lunch it up. What's up, guys? It's Kat and Dev from Two Market Girls. Today, well, I have mixed emotions about today's recipe because it's all back to school.
But you're not going back to school, so you just get all the benefit, but you don't actually have to go back to school.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, because I mean, we made sandwiches. Forgot we didn't even tell you what we made. Today is focused on back to school type lunches, and we did a focus on sandwiches because sandwiches are amazing.
Yes.
Obviously. But these sandwiches, if you're not going back to school, you can have these anytime for lunch, work. They're great for like meal prep because like all the components can be made ahead of time and you just put it together on the day. Good for if you go on a hike somewhere, you can take this sandwich with you, like things like that, picnics. So these sandwiches are good for everything, but it's that time of year, so click.
Just gotta cater to the audience, we think.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going back to school, so.
Yay, Catherine! So why don't we tell them what kind of sandwiches we made?
So we made you 3 different sandwiches today. We did a classic chickpea tuna, which is everyone's favorite.
Well, I don't know yet.
Jerk. We did a baked tofu sandwich, and we did a roasted red pepper pesto and hummus sandwich.
That's some pretty good variety. Like, they're all pretty different and really easy to make. So we should just make them.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna start out with the baked tofu sandwich. Pretty simple sandwich. Basically, we're gonna bake some tofu and add some of our favorite veggies to it. And that's pretty much it. First, we gotta make the marinade for our tofu. So we're gonna combine the certain ingredients, kind of like an Asian type tofu marinade. We're gonna let that marinade for about 15 minutes and then bake it in an oven at preheated to 400 for about 20 minutes or until kind of crispier and golden brown. Alrighty, we're gonna add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of soy sauce to a shallow dish. We're adding 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Next, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. We're gonna add a whole lime's worth of juice into the marinade. And then we're gonna add about 5 tablespoons of water. And we're gonna add our seasonings to it now. So we're gonna add garlic, allspice, and pepper. About a teaspoon of each. And then we're gonna mix that marinade all together. We're just making one sandwich just for this video, so you only need about 2 squares of tofu. You want to slice your tofu into squares or rectangles about 1 centimeter thick. Sounds like a good thickness. 1/2 inch. I don't know what measurements everyone uses. And then we're just gonna plop our tofu pieces. Plop. We're gonna add our tofu pieces to the marinade and let them sit for about 15 minutes. You want to make sure that they are all covered in the marinade. You're just going to add our tofu pieces to a baking dish. And then we're just going to pop these in the oven for about 20 minutes, flipping halfway through. Okay, we're going to prep one more thing for that sandwich, and that is a spicy mustard. Pretty simple. Add some mustard to some sriracha, or add some sriracha to some mustard. We're not going for mustardy sriracha. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of mustard just so that I have enough to spread around, and mustard's delicious. Then we're gonna add about a teaspoon of sriracha, and you want to mix that all together. Okay, we're gonna assemble the baked tofu sandwich now. We're gonna include just a little bit of kale. By a little bit, I mean a lot. We're gonna top our kale with a couple pieces of our tofu. We're gonna add some sprouts on top of that. And then we're gonna add tomatoes on top of that. 1/2 an avocado sliced. And your spicy mustard goes onto your top slice. And just like that, you've got yourself a sandwich. Our next sandwich, we're gonna make a red pepper pesto and hummus sandwich. The first step is basically to make your pesto. It's not a classic pesto at all. There is no pine nuts, no cheese. No anything. The pesto is pretty simple. We're gonna add some kale, roasted red peppers, nutritional yeast, garlic, and onion to a food processor. Okay, so we're just gonna add 2 leaves of dino kale or black kale. They're pretty small leaves. We're gonna add 1 whole roasted red pepper from a jar. Nutritional yeast, of course. We added about 3 tablespoons to that. I have 1 clove of garlic to this and some onion powder. Half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of onion powder. And blend it up. Ready? Basically, you're going for still a smooth consistency, so you still be able to spread it, but a little chunkier. So you get all the textures from everything still. Now we're gonna assemble our sandwich. Basically, what you wanna do is take 2 pieces of bread, your choice, and then we're gonna spread on 1 slice of bread, we're gonna spread our pesto. I'm gonna do a pretty generous spread of it because it's so yummy. On the other slice of bread, we're going to do our hummus. We just went with the classic hummus so that there was no like conflicting flavors. You can make your own or get store-bought. We did store-bought because we're lazy. Okay, and then on top of your hummus side, you're gonna add some alfalfa sprouts. Then we're just gonna basically layer our veggies. No particular order, really. We're gonna start with some cucumbers. We're gonna add some tomatoes, some sweet peppers. I don't know what these are called, but they're long. They're not like normal bell peppers. And then basically just finish up your sandwich. All done. Our third sandwich is a classic chickpea tuna. It's been made a bunch of times, but we're gonna make it anyways. So we're gonna get started by prepping the things that are gonna go into the actual chickpea mixture, and then followed by actually assembling the sandwich. So our first step is to dice up a 1/4 cup of celery, really small dices. Our next step is to dice up 1 pickle. Again, a fine dice is preferred. The saddest dill in the world. We're gonna finely mince about a tablespoon of dill. We're using fresh dill because we have it, but you can use dried dill if you want. We're gonna open up a can of chickpeas, drain them, rinse them, and we're gonna mash them in a bowl. Now that we got our chickpeas in a bowl, we're just gonna take a fork and mash them up. I usually like to go with a more of a chunky consistency. It's just my personal preference, so they don't need to be perfectly mashed up when you're doing it. Holy shit, I'm just gonna use the food processor because I'm already frustrated. So I'm super lazy today, so I'm just gonna process the chickpeas. Process them. You just wanna pulse them each time because if you keep it on, it might become a paste and you don't want chickpea tuna paste. Oh, that sounds gross. Okay, now that you have your chickpeas mashed, we are going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of vegan mayo. It'll kind of depend on how creamy you want it. You're gonna add 3 tablespoons of mayo because it's just not enough at 2. Now to your mayo and chickpea mash, you want to add in all the components that we just chopped up. Your celery stalk. I'm gonna add in about half the pickles. If you really like pickle taste, which I do, then add in the whole pickle, but we're just adding in half. And a tablespoon of your chopped dill. You're gonna add about a teaspoon of garlic powder, and we're gonna add about a teaspoon of mustard. And mix that all together. And once you get it all mixed into the flavor you want, add about a teaspoon of black pepper to it. Half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. After a quick taste test, I'm gonna add in the rest of the pickle and celery that I cut up. Now we are gonna assemble our chickpea tuna sandwich. 2 slices of bread again, a generous amount of chickpea tuna on half of it, and then we're gonna put on some kale, a couple slices of tomato, and then a few slices of avocado. And your sandwich is done. That's it. All the components are really, really easy to make. Again, you can make everything ahead of time. Make a bunch of the baked tofu, put it in a container and set it in the fridge. Chickpea tuna, so easy to make a big batch of. And the pesto, again, really easy to make a big batch of.
Pesto is the best.
And if you're making your hummus, easy to make a big batch of. So all this stuff can be made ahead of time, and then you've got so many lunches for the week.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to figure out what the heck to take for lunch, especially since food, I don't know about where you guys live, but at the colleges and universities in Canada, the food is so expensive and not that healthy.
Yeah.
So this is really going to be really helpful for you.
Yeah.
Okay, which one do you want to try first?
Whatever this is. Oh, the pesto one. Pesto? I'm gonna try the pesto and hummus. Don't eat the stick.
This one is so intense with
Yeah.
vegetables.
Ready?
Mmm.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
That is so fresh.
Mm-hmm. That is a good one. I like that one.
I agree.
And it feels a little lighter to me, I think. Yeah. It's a yummy one.
Chickpea tuna.
I make this recipe all the time, so I do know what it tastes like, but I also change it up all the time, so I add different things to it. But
I've been waiting forever for
Okay.
Catherine to make this for me.
I've never made it for Devin.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Mmm.
Classic. It's so good.
The dill.
Mm-hmm. It makes it.
Mm-hmm. The fresh dill.
It's also really good if you want to add a little bit of mustard. Like, we added mustard to the chickpeas, but if you add it to the bread too, it's so good. A little Dijon mustard.
These are way better than the sandwiches you'll get in a cafeteria.
yeah. A million times better.
Okay. Last one.
This one I'm most excited about
Me too.
because it's got a baked component to it, which is fun. And it has spiciness on it.
We love our spice.
Ready?
Mmm. Mm-hmm.
So good.
I love the spicy mustard. And the flavor in the tofu is really nice. Good consistency too.
Yeah, I think this one's my favorite.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it might be my favorite too. I don't know, this is really tough. I think because they're all so different, I can't
know.
really pick a favorite.
I mean, they're all amazing.
Yeah.
Just because I'm picking a favorite doesn't mean the other two are bad. They're all incredible.
Uh-huh.
But I think this one's my favorite, and I'm biased because I like spicy things. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that it is my favorite. But I also really like the pesto one so much.
Yeah.
So good. And the chickpea tuna is just a classic. It's delicious. I like them all.
Well, the good news is that we'll just make them all throughout the week and then don't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You make these, you can take a half of each of them so you don't have to ever decide.
Perfect. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed our sandwich selection.
Stay tuned till next week because we do have another back to school type recipe coming up, kind of like a companion to this video, some little snacks to munch on, so those are exciting too.
We don't want you to go hungry, basically.
If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We have new vegan recipes out every Sunday and whatever Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
Hi guys. There's so many more of you now.
Hey, guys.
Tofu marinade. Did I just have an accent? Basically, I guess we just say, what can we mix with sriracha this week? And that's how we create our recipes.